So I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible, but also as quick as possible for people who kind of have a good handle on this already. So what I'll do is I'll start off by showing you exactly what you need, and for those of you who need more, I'll show you everything from scratch after I show you um, the main process. Okay, so in order to do this, we need a path. We need a something to follow the path, and preferably a background. But you don't necessarily need a background. You just need a path and something to follow the path. So I'm just gonna undo a couple of steps so you guys can see um, what it would look like with just the path. So in my layers panel, I have my path layer, my car layer, and my hill layer, which is my background, and I have it locked. So in my car layer, or in my path layer, notice that it's following my hill or my background. And the only thing I'm going to do is right click this and turn it into a guide layer. As soon as that happens, this image pops up, and now I can select this layer, drag it up. As soon as I drag it up into this layer, this dot appears, and I'm gonna let go. And now that symbol has changed, and it's letting me know that this path is gonna be working as a path now. So now it's safe for me to go ahead and animate this truck following the path of the hill. So I'm gonna need to zoom in some for this. Now I'm gonna show you that on my, matter of fact, I can actually go ahead and create a keyframe. I'm gonna create a keyframe here, and this will be my first frame. And I'm just gonna notice that when I move this, it automatically kind of snaps to my path because it knows that it's a path. And then over here, I'm gonna snap it to the other end. Oops. And it snapped right on. And let's go ahead and create our motion tween, or a classic tween rather. And notice that it is following the path. All right, now, does it look right? Of course not. So let's go ahead and make it look right. If I just turn it right now, I'm telling you that's not going to be enough. So you can already see that. And then on top of that, yeah, so there's a lot going on. It looks bad. So let's go to our properties, and we're gonna select our tween, and we're gonna orient to path. That's gonna help us out a lot. So now instead of it flipping around, it's starting to look right. All right, so that orient to path is key, but I want the truck to kind of be on top of the hill, not inside of the hill. So how do I accomplish that? Now, what I've seen, or what I've tried in the past, which was successful, is moving this pivot point to where I want my um, to where I want this to snap. And now, but in order to do that, that pivot point, I have to in order to change my pivot point, I have to select this free transform tool, grab this pivot point, and put it where I want this to snap. And wow, it's just kind of, it just jumped right in. So let's look at it now. All right, so we're gonna have some problems, just so you know. I'm gonna bring this one in, put my pivot point in the same spot as I did last. As a matter of fact, since I am changing my pivot point, it's almost impossible to make your pivot point in the exact same spot when it's not like in the center. So I'm just gonna go ahead and remove this tween. I'm gonna clear this keyframe. Oops, undo. Clear this keyframe, and from this one, this original one, that's where I'm gonna create my my second keyframe. So now I don't have to remove my pivot because it's already snapped where I want it to be snapped. So there we go. And then I'm just going to rotate this, and I am going to, so this is our first frame and this is our second frame. All right, so now I'm going to create the tween, the classic tween. Orient the path is on, and this is what we have so far. So it's coming along, but we still have some problems. So now let's look at about right here. That's where it gets really, really bad. So that's where I'm going to put my keyframe. I'm going to add a keyframe right here, and I'm just going to simply rotate it down. And I'll try to keep those two tires looking about the same. Yeah. That's where it gets real bad. So I'm just going to pull it up again. Right here, create a keyframe. Oops, select this and rotate it. There we go. And it gets bad here. So let's do the same thing. Create a keyframe. Rotate it. Ooh, gets really bad up here. Do it again. Create a keyframe. Rotate. And do it once more about right here. Keyframe. Rotate. And there we go. So now we have this. And just so you know, if you wanted to, you can actually make it less robotic and put a ease on it. Cubic is probably good. And let's press play now. Whoa. that's not good as I thought it would be. So let's try to go a little bit more basic. Classic ease. No. There we go. Let's try that. Yeah, all of those stops are making it kind of funny. Let's just do ease out instead of ease in and out. Let's do no ease first. Then let's go in. Hold on. All right. All right, let's see now. All right, so in this case with the ease, it's not looking good. I would not keep that. It will take a little bit more work because of these keyframes are kind of interfering, and it's easing to this point and then kind of staying there, and you don't want that. So let's not do that. Let's undo a couple of those. Now let's go back to where it was. All right, which is this. All right, we'll stay right there. All right, so now that's the basic, that's the gist of it. So you have your path, we have the car. So now I'm just gonna work a little bit backwards, and we're gonna throw all of this in the trash, and we're gonna start completely over. The only thing I'm going to keep is the heel itself. Oh yeah, before I do that, You can actually hide the path. So if I wanted to hide my stroke, I can just press that. And so whatever path you create, don't worry about it being visible. Um, it's not something that you have to worry about. Even if it was visible, if I'm not mistaken, it will disappear when you render. So, and I'm right. So let's exit out of that. And I'm just going to delete both of these. And I'm just going to do it all over again. But this time I'm going to show you a couple of tricks and a couple of tips. So in this case, the trick that I did to get my path here, even though it wasn't on the hill, was when I go to my paint bucket toolbox, I can go to my ink bottle. If you don't see it there, what you'll do is click on these three dots and you'll find it and you'll just drag it over. So if I wanted to use this or this, I can just drag this over and now it's inside here. So I have my ink bottle and I'm just gonna select this shape. And as soon as I did, notice that I have my stroke. Oh yeah, my stroke or my path. And I'll make it a little bit bigger so you guys can see it better. So I have my path and I'm just gonna Command X, or I could right click and cut. And then I'll create a new layer, call it path. And then I'll paste this layer in place. So I'll press Shift Command V. Now, what I'll do to get rid of part of the path is I'll just select the parts that I don't want and then get rid of it. And in this case, if I wanted it to do something else, I could change it, manipulate it, or whatever. But in this case, I don't want to do that. So I'll just leave it alone, lock my back layer, and I'm gonna create a new layer for my car to go in. And notice that with my car, and this is basically a looping animation. It's just loops. Let's put the actual loop on it so you can see. There you go. It's looping. So that's what we want. And we'll put this in here. And I'll shrink it down. This time I'll make it even smaller than before. And since we already know what to do, I'll still do it one more time, but I'll just do it a little bit faster. So now, let's take that off. So now I'm just going to right click my path layer, turn it into a guide. And then now I'll drag this car layer and I'll drag it upward. Bam. All those things change like it was supposed to. Notice that even my hill and my car icons aren't on the same, they're not aligned anymore because the car is connected with the path. So now I'm just going to go ahead and move this to about right here. Let it snap. Bam. Come over here, create a new keyframe. And let this one snap this way. There we go. And then I'll just rotate it after it snaps. And let's go ahead and create this keyframe or this classic tween. And let's check our properties, make sure Orient to Path is on because, well, let's look at it without it being on right now. Oh, it's actually not following the guide. So let's see what's going on. Let's make sure this is snapped properly. That's snapped. Is it snapped here? Oh, the problem is I don't have a keyframe here. So let's make sure that we have a keyframe right here. So now both of them are snapped. It's still doing it. So let's undo a few things. Let's go back. let's make sure that this one has a keyframe before we do anything. And then let's right click, and it's still the same problem. Let's see why. Let's see if that snaps. There we go. Whoop. There we go. And then this should snap here. There it is. All right. So let's orient the path. Select this, orient the path. There we go. So now all we have to do is fix those little things that we talked about before. I'm not going to do it this time. I just wanted to show everybody the full process again. Now I'm just going to delete this, and now we're going to actually delete this too. I'm going to show you something else. So I should have in here a bang animation. Yeah, there we go. We have this right here. I'm going to, oh, notice this. I hate when this happens. So I'm on frame 35 and I drag something in. So my keyframe is at frame 35, but my first frame has nothing in it. To avoid this, make sure that you're on the first frame when you drag something in. But to fix it, just drag this over. All right, so now let's do the same thing. I'm going to delete this for now, and I'm going to go ahead and create me a new path. This path is going to be just a loop. I'll have it start here, loop around. All right, so I'm going to bring this in. Well, let's create the new layer. This will be my path layer, and this will be my star layer. And I'm just going to go ahead. We're not playing any games. We're just going to jump right into it. Make this into a guide. Pull my star up. Now I'm going to bring the star in, and I'm going to let it snap to the, there we go, snap to the path. And then I'm going to create a keyframe on both layers, and I'm just going to drag this one over and let it snap again. And let's create this classic tween. Now this is what we have. Sweet, right? So let's see how it looks. All right, not all that impressive, but one cool thing we can do, or a few cool things we can do, is actually let's make this a shorter trip. Let's grab these, and let's let this happen in 3 seconds instead of 5. Then we're going to delete these frames, remove frames. So also something that I would like to do is let this start off smaller and shrink this down, like about right there. And now we have that. And one other thing, hold on, let's look at this. You know what, let's bring this one up. Let's make this bigger at the end, so that we have a lot of big difference. So it's getting bigger as it ends, so it's coming closer. All right, so let's, around the middle, let's add a keyframe here, and let's do something. Oops, undo. Just need one keyframe. Let's change this a little bit. Let's make this kind of 3D a little bit, about like that. So yeah. All right, so let's look at it. All right, so let's see it without the path. It's a little bit better. Now, One bad thing is right here. Yeah, I would play around with it a lot more. So let's go back, get rid of that, and let's keep this keyframe as it is, and then let it go from here to here. Hold on, let's do it like this. I'll create 3 keyframes just so that, oh, just so that little 3D-ish thing that happens right here can just be right here and not across the whole thing. So just do it right there and come back. Yeah, it'll take some playing around with, but let's say about right here we get back to normal. Yeah, so right here is where it can look weird and out of, yeah. And then we can also have it blur at the end if we want to. So by the final frame, we can say that, is it a movie clip? No, it's a, no, it is actually a graphic. So I'm not even gonna worry about the blur. We'll just leave it. We'll just leave that alone for right now. So let's look at it now. Yeah. So try those out, and get the hang of using the path, the motion path, and